they think of automations. That's the big one right now. They're like, I need systems. I need automation. But what you finna automate? Your business is a hot mess. The whole back end of your business is trash. You overwhelmed. You're exhausted. Your team don't like you. What are you talking about? You want to speed that up?
Right.
You want that crappy business model that you're running to go faster?
Right. You want to scale that?
You want to scale this hot mess? No.
What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Black Wealth, and we got...
Hey, guys. It's your girl, Miss Fab Financial. Checking
What's
in.
up?
1 and 2.
This is a special episode. We doing an interview of the iconic Connie Systems Bay in the building. How
Connie
you feeling?
S.
The crowd goes wild.
S-Falls.
Don't forget the S.
The S. Don't forget the S. You don't forget the Z and Jay-Z.
That's right.
Marcus
That's
Watson.
right. How you feeling?
I feel amazing.
That's
I feel really good.
Good?
Well, you look good, but
Yeah,
before we get
thank
into
you.
that, let me introduce who this is, okay? But some of y'all who don't know, her resume is long, and I got my notes to read it and make sure I don't miss nothing. You hear me? She's been in the game for over 17 plus years. She's been the architect behind businesses leveling up and finally breaking free from chaos. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company or a scrappy solopreneur, Connie is and has this dope ability to take everything out of your head and systematize it. That's where we struggle, y'all. If y'all don't know, she is who she is. She's not just a system based. She's a go-getter for entrepreneurs. If you're tired of the bottleneck in their own success, she is it. She's a voice for everything. If you all over the place, she got you. Connie S. takes 6 and 8, works with 6 to 8 figure entrepreneurs, helps them scale, systematize their business, and take them to the next level. And she's a super dope, nice, funny, loving chick.
Woo, she got some, bars on her name.
She is all things. She is, okay, my team told me, look here, y'all. You know, we real organic here. They said, look right here. But it's hard. I didn't know I was looking. But she is it. This is Connie S. Falls.
In the building. We ain't got no clap. We need to get some we need to get some noise making things. So Connie, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I think I want to kind of open this up and just ask, right, with all the stuff you got going on, like what season of business are you in now?
I am in the soft life business right now. I am in the stage of business where I rely on my team. I have an excellent, amazing team run by Stephanie Brinkley, Steph B. She is brilliant and amazing, and we make sure that our clients are taken care of. She is the head of that, and I do my job, which as the CEO is a real word, y'all. Right. So as the CEO, my primary job is to think. So this season, I am in the thinking mode. I am in the soft life mode. I don't keep a laptop on me. I get to live and take my time to think about where I want the company to go.
I love that. I'm in the thinking mode. Hashtag, that's a shirt. I'm in my thinking mode.
Yeah.
That's true
People don't
CEO,
think.
for sure.
People don't
You need
think.
time to think. I love that.
Because that's what happens with most entrepreneurs is that you're so busy doing that you don't have time to think. So everything we do in our company is based on ideation, strategy, execution. Most folks go execution first. I want to do it. I'm great. I have a bakery. I'm good at baking cakes. And you start making business cards. You go to, what's the old one? Vistaprint.
Vistaprint.
And get your little tired, flimsy business cards printed out, right? And then you're like,
I
I've
still
done
use
this business.
Vistaprint.
Shout out to Vistaprint.
For what?
I have no idea why. Because you could blow right through those business cards.
Of course.
But you execute first, and then you're like, oh my God, it's going really well. And then you're like, oh, I don't have a plan. I've never thought about the future. And then you try and go create a strategy for it. And then you're like, wait, I've never even had the time to stop and think about what I want this to become. So the proper order is ideation, think, strategy, plan, execution, then you do. But everybody do it backwards. So my goal is to get everybody to do it the right direction.
I love that. How do you then, because a lot of times people are like, just do it, right? Just put yourself out there, put one foot in front of the other and do it. But you're like, hey, with the doing it, you got to sidestep and think. How do you balance the two? Like what goes first or second? Or is it like, hey, yes, you do have to do it, but you have to kind of have the map, the plan to do it. Like which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? What do you?
No, this is a great question. And let me tell you why. And I love everybody in the entrepreneur space, but there is a saying that is killing business owners, right? Success loves speed.
Mm-hmm.
Success does not love speed. Success loves systems.
All the time.
So here's why. The theory of, hey, you know what? All you got to do is hop on the plane and jump off. You don't need a parachute. You build it on the way down. How do you feel if you're falling from the sky trying to build something in real time? Anxiety, panic, stress, overwhelm, broke. It's easy to say that success loves speed when you have the money to play around with testing things out, with doing, I just throw 100,000 on this, and if it don't work out, it's all right. I still got $1 million in the bank account. Most of these business owners that are going and they're hearing this, they're like, okay, I'll just take my last. I'll take my 401k. I'll take everything that I have. I'll take my child's college fund. And they just try and do it. And when they fail, they don't have anything to fall back on. So my thing is, I don't want anybody to try and build a parachute on the way down. No, I want you to find out who is the parachute manufacturer. I want to go there. Let me test out. Let me learn what the materials are. Oh, how do you construct this? And then I want to see you bag it. To the backpack that's going on. What company, who has the best backpack structure? Is JanSport? Is this? Okay, great, we have the backpacks. Now you can load the parachute. Now tell me about this plane you're trying to get me to, this perfectly good plane you're trying to get me to jump out of. Versus jumping out and trying to build it in that panic and that stressful and that anxiety. And that's why so many entrepreneurs now are struggling because they're just trying to, they said just to do it. They said just to do it. And you end up in this kind of space.
Yeah.
And how functional can I be when I'm breathing? I can't think. I can't sleep at night. No, I want you to be peaceful. Build it. Yes, do some things, but learn what works right. Get coaching, get mentorship, and find out what are the downfalls that you guys had that I can take and do a shortcut instead of trying to hurry up and speed and burn through my money and create anxiety in my house.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hearing you, right? And I don't want to be disrespectful to the systems, but I'm thinking I'm trying to figure out the person who's probably a little bit like me, right? So from an accountant perspective, I'm very analytical, which means we have these conversations all the time. I'll sit and plan things A to Z. I want to see the ending before I execute. But what I also notice, which is a great flaw that I'm trying to overcome, is I spend so much time in the sitting to try to get the Z and it burns out my mental capacity before I even execute. So some stuff I execute on, it takes me a while before I'm all right, I'm ready to do it, right? And I guess the delicate balance between you planning things out and having systems in place versus you executing and kind of doing it, I guess, along the way to where you're not burnt out. To make the executor and not you just sit there and just be planning and nothing gets done.
100% understand. Let me tell you something. I already knew the end of the end, where you was going with this from the beginning. And so here's where you have to decide what role you play in your company. Right? You have an org chart?
Yeah, I do.
What role are you on your org chart?
Probably on 3 of them.
So you got three hats?
Yeah.
I believe you have more than that.
I do.
Tell me all the hats
pretty
that you
sure
wear.
I do. So we got the CEO, which is a position for sure, sales, the bookkeeping, if you will, right? What else can I say? The preparer, the advisor, the marketing, HR, right? I got people to pay. In operations, because I still got to build systems and put people in and teach them what I'm doing, and so I can get rid of some roles.
Oh, okay. So what you're
and the thinker is so much stuff.
Oh, and you want to think.
I want to think.
Got it. Okay. So I think the 11. If I'm not mistaken, the 11, you said 3.
Right.
You got to about 11. So the 11 roles that you're doing is the reason why you're breaking down. That's the reason why you're overwhelmed. It's not because you're just spending so much time in the thinking. It's because you're not allowing the people in those roles to actually do those tasks. Roles have tasks that are assigned to them. The whole reason, and this is why in our company, when we're building systems for people, we start on the org chart. Because 9 times out of 10, you got 11 hats. You got 10 hats that you're wearing, right? So because you're wearing all of those hats, you're not thinking that each one of those roles has tasks that they're responsible for doing. Now, do you know that there's tasks there? Yes. But are they getting done? No. Or they're getting done very poorly.
Yeah.
correct?
Quality is not good.
The quality is not there. So the reason why you get stuck in the thinking part is because you're not delegating the task to get done to the people who are responsible for doing it.
Yeah.
So yes, you'll end up in planning phase because you're the CEO. Your job is to plan. But at some point during that planning phase, there are stages where you say, okay, I've gotten this far. Go execute on these tasks. It's your job. It's your responsibility to take over this part and then let them go and do it. And then as you're building, you can keep letting out those phases. Okay, phase one is this. Go execute on this. Here's what we need to correct. Boom. Let's update that in our SOPs. Let's update that in our policy and processes. And then we move it down. Okay, it goes from you and now it goes to Farrah. Okay, perfect. Now I can work and I can think on this part.
Yeah.
But as long as you're doing all of our jobs, you're doing Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. You're doing every single dance routine that you can think of. What position? Right. What position are you not doing? You want to do the audio and you want to do the dance routine? You got to decide.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part. That's good. I like that.
That is, because it's hard to, it's really hard to, you know, and I'm also thinking about most of us, when I say us, Black people or minorities, or, you know, I can even go out, we got white clients that kind of do the same thing, but I think about those people who you have a plan, but then of course financial means make you think and move different, right? Like when I started taxes, we just started. It wasn't like, we almost like created money, you know what I mean? It wasn't no startup costs. I wasn't going around like, hey, Kevin, let me get an investment. It was like we had enough money to get software, and from word of mouth, we got clients, and now we got the ball rolling. And I know for me, like I didn't think about being system until I kind of knew exactly how I wanted to build my firm. And I think for me, when I talk to business owners, that's the clarity I try to get them to see before we even get to systems. Because most people don't even know what you're doing.
Right.
You just been working for a while and, you know what I mean, you made some money, but what's the business behind this? So from your perspective, how many people you run into who's just like, we just working and don't have a business, and how do you help them get that clarity with integrating systems into their business?
I'm going to say something. This is my camera right here. Hey, y'all. I love you. And I love y'all too. But you don't have a business. You have a hobby that just happens to pay you some money. A business has systems that go along with it. Let me explain the difference, right? Yeah. So you can have a tax ID number. You can have your Secretary of State stuff. You could have employees. You could have W-9. You have contractors. You could have money coming in. You could be a millionaire and have a hobby, right? Because unless you can duplicate yourself, if I can't pull you out the business, you're going to do that job every day to the day you die until you document and train somebody else on how to do it, right? And so what happens in our community, and I say our the same way you say our, is that we do something really well. And people are like, ooh, I want to pay you to do that thing. And you're like, okay. And you do the thing, and then you give them the thing back, and they're like, this is great. Hey, John, he does a really great thing. And then guess what? It keeps happening and it blows up. And you're like, oh, I'm making money, right? And then you go up. Right. And that is your people's system. Exactly. And that's why we have so many failures in our community when it comes to businesses. Right? Absolutely. And so now we start making the money. And guess what happens when we start making the money? We got a chain. Right? The lineup.
We just talked that early. That money's not yours.
The lineup be lined up. You know what I'm saying? You're not good enough for the $30 haircut. You need the $100 one to come with the steam towel, right? So I need
on me.
Exactly. Upgrade the lifestyle.
The lifestyle change. You don't have just the black tracks. You got the color, right? You see what I'm saying? Whole lifestyle change. Everybody now need a bigger house. Now I need a Maserati. The Jeep just not good enough, right?
Yep.
So our lifestyle starts changing, and guess what? I need more people and I need more money. So it's never the problem with money, because every person that ever talked to me about, well, I just can't. That's easy for you to say. You want to go and hire everybody, and I just can't do it. And I go and look at everything they have on. I look at their diamond earrings. I look at their chain. I look at their rings with the diamond studs. I look at their Rolexes. I look at their Cartier glasses. I wear you out, because if I took half of the outfit that you have on, you know how many people I could hire to go get these tasks done?
That's a good point.
Come on, somebody. Amen. Y'all better click that. If I take your outfit.
Just your outfit. I don't even need to take any money out your bank account.
On you right now.
On you today. If you took these tracks out of my head right now, you'd have $500 and you could pay a VA $10 an hour for the whole week. What are you talking about? You can't tell me you don't have enough money to get help. So that's why when we talk about the systems part, and I know because most of us, again, just start doing something really well and we get paid, and nobody stops you and says, yo,
You need to have more financial discipline.
Your hobby is really great. I'm glad that hobby is really great for you. But until you have systems in place, that's all that it will be, because it's nothing that I can duplicate. When we look at companies, and everybody loves Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and everything else, they're billion-dollar companies that are run by kids in urban neighborhoods, right? Yeah. McDonald's is a billion-dollar international company that's run by teenagers.
Multi-billion.
Your day-to-day operation of that company is run by kids who don't even listen to their own mama. That's who's run by that company. And so what we do is that we invest 15 minutes worth of time of training them, but they're taking care of all the day-to-day stuff. So that way you have time to think. You have time to golf. You have time to travel and do the things that you want to do. You have time to spend with your husband, with your kids. But if we don't take the time to start documenting what's working, taking some of that money back instead of putting it on a watch and putting it back into our company and reinvesting into our business and reinvesting into building a good team, and not just saying VAs as if they're magical unicorns of some sort. They're not. Right. You still have to train people to do what you want them to do so you can focus on your one role. That's why I tell people, look at that org chart. And if you don't have one, you need one.
That's so good. The conviction in my heart and spirit. I hope y'all feel it. I hope y'all feel it. I hope you feel it. When you feel like you're not doing enough, you could do more. You could do more. Amen. I love that. I love that. And I think I do have a question, though, like for new, even seasoned business owners, right? And you were talking about the system, but the plan, right? So because we are in the accounting, we are numbers driven. So for me, I'm always like, okay, when you get to this level, right? And so when you're thinking about, okay, I'm gonna start a business, it's the business plan, it's the thought, the process, right? And it's the benchmarks, right? Okay, when I get here, I need to then start implementing this, or I need to start hiring this particular person. What's like to you in your expertise that benchmark? Hey, once you make this, you need to start hiring this first person to help you grow your business.
I don't look at numbers.
Okay.
I don't look at numbers as a benchmark.
Okay.
I wish people would start documenting things when they started thinking about creating a business. I would love for people to say, I have a great idea.
And write it
down, right? And what steps, where did you go wrong? Where did you fall off? Where did I lose money? Where did I gain money? What are the things that I'm really, really great at? Where are the things that I suck? I would love for people to do a SWOT analysis on themselves and on the business they're trying to build before they built it. Because I know people that are millionaires. We know a bunch of rich people, right? That are doing well financially, but they are high, their blood pressure higher. Than anything you could imagine. The stress levels, they haven't seen their spouses, they haven't seen their children. They are exhausted. So I don't look at numbers. I look at, when are you tired? What are you tired of doing? And what aren't you good at doing in the first place? Because there's no way on earth that Connie S falls in the S for system should be doing bookkeeping. Let me tell you what I'm not good at. I could write you an SOP to the end of the day, but you want me to add and subtract, and what form you say you want that? I don't know anything about that, so I have to hire. So at the moment, before you even start the business is when I wish people would say systems. So let me be clear on what systems mean when I say systems, because it is a vast general word, and people throwing my word around every day like they just know what they're talking about. There are two different versions of systems, right?
Get y'all pen and paper.
There are two types of systems. There are the tech systems, and there are the operational systems. Most people are familiar with tech systems. They're familiar with, I need a system software. They're thinking of their CRMs. They're thinking of ads. They're thinking of anything that's tech related. Tech is awesome. It's wonderful. They think of automations. That's the big one right now. They're like, I need systems. I need automation. But what you finna automate? Your business is a hot mess. The whole back end of your business is trash. You overwhelmed. You're exhausted. Your team don't like you. Living on a suicide farm. People ready to quit and jump. Lord. What are you talking about? You want to speed that up?
Right.
You want that crappy business model that you're running to go faster?
Right. You want to scale that?
You want to scale this hot mess? No.
That's another shirt. You want to scale that?
That hot mess that got you ready to jump off the bridge right off of 85 and mess up our traffic even more than it already is?
Crazy.
No, we do not want to scale no hot mess. We don't want to do that. That's why I would wish that people would take the time on the front end to say, this is what's important to me. Here's what my goals are. I would love to get to $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month or $1 million a month. But those benchmarks financially, it's not enough for me. Because you could be doing that and you could still have a hobby. You could be a millionaire and it could still not be something that's sustainable. Operational systems are what's sustainable. When investors come in and they look at your company, they say, how can we duplicate this over there without you? We don't even want you to be there. But we like the business model that you've made and the processes that you have in place. And the first thing they're looking for are your standard operating procedures. How does this company work? And I can look at it. Because what they hand you when you franchise a Chick-fil-A, they hand you a beautiful book. Here's your operation manual. They don't care about no business plan anymore. That's played out. That was just for when you tried to get a loan back in the 90s. Where's your operational plan? Where are your policies and processes and procedures? Where are the documentation that shows us how to onboard the team properly and how to exit this company? That's what they're looking for. So I care about the operational side because once you have the operations down, now you can scale. You cannot scale without operational systems. Automation is just going to make your mess go faster. Operational systems is where you start.
Listen, we're going to travel down memory lane real fast. How did you even get into systems?
So I have...
Probably open up a can of worms.
Yeah, so I have extreme ADHD.
Okay.
Had it since I was a kid. I was one of the kids on Ritalin that's hopping around, jumping all over the place. And what I realized in school, part of my struggle is that, you go between different classes and you got to stop what you're thinking and then go into something new. I'm in math, I'm in history, I'm in English, and I would short circuit going between those classes, right? And I realized that one of the problems was that you're stopping how I'm documenting. My brain has to switch off and switch on. So if I'm in history mode and now you want me to go and do algebra, now you want me to go and do English, I'm short circuiting. And then over time, I realized that if I just focused on, okay, math is all I care about today. This English class isn't going to get it. I'm going to do all my focus on just the math and understand the process of every way that it's done. I get it. And so I made sure I documented everything. And now today I'm going to focus on English. And okay, got it. I get it. I know every single step. And so once I realized how my brain worked, I understood that, this doesn't just apply personally. This also applies in business. And so what happens is we start something and we never finish it, right? We start and we start and we start and we start and we never get to the final part where if you documented the first part, like I said before, you can delegate that part. And now I can focus on the second part. And so because ADHD has been such a relevant part of my life and my brain moves so fast, if I don't write all of it down, I can never delegate it to somebody else because it's all up here. And the reality is, and I love that Stephanie always says, your mind isn't for memory. Your mind is a muscle. It's not for storage. Your brain is not meant for storage.
I love that.
It's for thinking. And so you can't actively think when you have all of this stuff stuck inside your head, which most business owners have. They just sit there and they're like, I know how to do that. And one of the trigger words we have in our company is when you say, I might as well do it myself. All that time it's going to take me to train you. I could have just did it myself. Oh, okay.
Knocked it out.
And guess who's going to do it until the day you die? You're going to do that exact same task until then. So ADHD is where it started from.
Where it all started. How'd you go from the kid with ADHD to making yourself the success you are in business today and helping other people with that?
So I had an amazing teacher, Professor Cardenas, when I was in college at Payne College. She didn't let me half-step anything, right? Because I was an SGA, and I started all the clubs and the Spirit Club and the Criminal Justice. So I get to move around the campus however I want to, but not in her class. Her class, let me tell you, 1 minute late, she's going to close the door and then leave the little mini blinds open and then wait till you get to the door and then close the mini blinds on you, right? She wasn't a joke. And her class was operational management, right? So, and I was like, I got to be in this. I cannot miss this class. She don't care about no note from the president, the dean of students. None of that has anything to do with my class, Miss Falls. You need to be in here. You need to be on time. You're not playing those games with me. And so I had to do that homework. And I was like, okay, which ain't bad. So, and I understand it because you're teaching people how to do things in order. Like there's a process for everything. And I'm like, I actually like this. There are steps for how you do everything. Brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, how to drink water, like all of this stuff, there's a process for all of it. And then that's how everything operates. That's what the operations part is. How does the business operate? How does your household operate? How does your body operate? I like the operations part. And because I had to go to that class, I really got involved in it. And I was like, this matches my ADHD. This can make sense. So by the time I graduated from there, I was like, okay, well, what else can I do in operations? And I got a master's degree in organizational management because organization is still operation, how everything goes in order. How does this organization operate? And then from there, every job I had, I'm the person in there like, yeah, this is great. But did you know that if you did it this way, it would make it faster? Did you ever think about if you talk to the employees and da-da-da-da? And I wrote a change management plan during my break. And I was thinking that if I could show you how this, and actually the reason why we're falling so short on, I worked for a carpet company, a flooring company, and they hated all of the installers. And I'm like, Let me go out with installers and see what steps are happening and why things are falling apart and why tile is getting broken. Oh, every time you send an installer out that has tile, there's different dye lots and there's different colors. And so when you send them out with a box of tile that doesn't match the flooring that's already in there, they have to come all the way back from Flowery Branch.
For sure.
Change out the tile. Sit on the ground, match out every single tile to go back and try it again. And if they don't match, they got to keep doing this entire process.
The likelihood of them getting broke.
Yeah. And because they are the first step in the building process, they put the flooring down and they cover it up. Everybody that's walking around dropping their ladders and all this other stuff. It's not the installer, right? But you would never do that because y'all not going out and taking the time and watching and walking behind them and watching the entire process. That's what we do in our business. We go into the companies, we watch the process, we see where the shortcomings are, we see where where the shortcuts should not be, right? And where you guys, who's your best employee? Y'all spending all this time focused on, oh, we got to get the slower people trained up. No, who's your fastest employee? Let me go document how they're doing. Let me go see who's your number one employee that's making the most amount of money, who's doing the best let me go document how they're doing things because they're doing something different than whatever you trained them to do. Because when I ask you what they're doing and you're like, I don't know, they're just good. No, they have a process. They have a process that they're going through.
Right.
Exactly. They can think.
Hey, don't be knowing what's going on. And you're like, you got to tell me what you do.
Exactly. And so then I can go and document and download that one person, and now there's the processes for everybody else to go and train. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because even the way that you're doing the way that I did stuff 4 years ago is totally different than whatever they're doing on the inside of this company. But for every change that they make, it's documented. To where if they were like, you know what, this is our time to go, and they left, I still can go in and I could hire everybody and I have all the processes and all the onboarding and all the SOPs and the way that the company is run right now, and I don't touch it. You see what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense. Makes sense.
You need people to, it's needed. Everyone plays a different position on the baseball mound. You know what I mean?
100%.
You need a systems person. You need all those different people to help it. I love that.
100%. What would you say to a business owner who because I got one right now, the client, and it's like, hey, we need to get, they're in their business, they're making money, but they understand that they need to understand what other people are doing. But as a CEO, sometimes they don't know, I hire people and I don't know what they're doing. I know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing. I need you to document what you're doing, so we got SOPs in place. And in my head, I'm like, as a CEO, you should know what you're doing. You should know what they're doing because you should be assigning the task, right? But they don't know, but we got to get SOPs in place. So if I'm already in a mess, how do I fix this with systems and unmess it?
First of all, you hire Connie S. Falls and
right, word.
No, so
out the gate.
So one, again, you have to start with the org chart. And here's the reality. We throw the word CEO around real flimsy like. That is a corporate term.
Yeah.
Chief operating executive officer, right? So you have a definition for what this role does. And most people don't even know what that definition is. They're throwing it around because I'm an entrepreneur. No, you're a business owner. That's cool. But should you be the CEO of your company? My D says it best. He's like, everybody shouldn't be a CEO. And chances are you're not the best CEO. Yeah. Because there are things that you don't know. You don't understand leadership. You don't understand projections. You don't know the numbers. You don't know, you should not be in that role. Most of the time, you should outsource and hire somebody else for the CEO role, depending on the type of company that you have. Yeah. That's why you see these billion-dollar companies and the founder isn't the CEO. And so when you're able to differentiate, yes, you're the founder. I'm so glad you started this company, but baby, you should not be running it. I'm so glad you started this hair salon because I love it, but you should not be the CEO. You shouldn't even be in customer service. Ego. And I know, but that's what it is.
That's the problem.
It is 100% ego because I started this company. I'm supposed to run it, blah, blah, but you're not even good at that. You were good at baking cakes. That's right. You should keep baking cakes, and you should hire somebody to run the actual company itself because they're two different things. Founder and CEO is different. Cakes. Go bake the cakes, Sugarfoot. You love bake. That's why I love E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Go bake the cakes.
Those are good books.
Great books. Go bake the cakes. That's what you're good at. You're not good at leadership. You're not nice. Don't nobody you finna train people talking like this. I don't want you to be a manager. I don't want you to be the leader. And now you wonder why our customer service rating so low because you were here talking to people and clacking your nails, right?
Come on, somebody. Amen.
I want people to understand.
With the neck roll. Look.
You're going to train people to do the same thing that you do. No, you need an actual corporate trainer. So the reason why people are struggling, and back to your client, is because if you don't even know your own role, how you finna teach me about mine? You don't know what you're responsible for as a CEO. You don't understand what the tasks are that a person that is supposed to be leading $1 million company is supposed to be, much less $1 billion company or even $100,000 company. You don't know what it takes to be a CEO. So most people are not CEOs. They're just founders.
Yeah.
You're the one that's the creative behind whatever you've built. And yay, I'm glad it's successful. But your ego is going to allow your company to fail. And that's why it stays in the hobby realm for me. Right? And so looking at your clients saying, oh my God, I want to be able to have systems in place, because that's essentially what they're saying. But I don't know what people are doing. And this happens all the time. So I don't want your client to feel bad, or you or whoever it is. You hire folks because people tell you that you need to hire. And you're like, I just need help. I need somebody to come in and help me. They cannot help you if they don't know what they're doing or what you need help with.
Very difficult to do.
This goes to, think about the love language book. Everybody's heard of love languages, right? So it is the way to be able to explain how to love me. I need you to do, I care about gifts. I care about acts of service. I care about words of affirmation. I'm teaching you how to love me, but I'm helping you because I'm telling you these things. Look at it the same way when it comes to business. You need help, but you're not telling me how to help you. You're not telling me how to love you. You're not teaching me.
Do it.
You're just saying I need help. Right. So what ends up happening is people say, oh, I need help. I'm so overwhelmed. I need help. And you're like, oh, I can help you. And they're like, perfect. Here go. Matter of fact, take this mic. Here's all my stuff that I couldn't do on my own.
Logins, passwords, account ownership.
I know I couldn't do it,
Right.
but I want you to do everything. And what ends up happening is you're like, oh, they're stupid. They couldn't even figure out how to do whatever. No, they're not stupid. You did not train them properly. Yeah. They didn't know what they're supposed to do. I consider myself to be fairly smart, but if you hired me today and said, okay, Connie, good, you're smart. You know how to do SOPs? Good, go write all the SOPs for the company. What? Can we talk about the roles? No. You do SOPs, right? That's what you do. Yeah, but what job do you want me to start with? Just do all of them. That's not training me on how to help you. I know. I'm sorry.
That's
why I drink.
That's why I drink.
I mean, I know somebody who I'm in business with right now who has that same, through osmosis. You're just supposed to know how it's supposed to go. You're just supposed to know.
She's talking about him.
You're just supposed to know how it's supposed to go, and I don't have the you know.
That's how we Collins probably do things.
I know, between him and his uncle.
Yeah. My wife said the same thing.
Call it out. And now you think they're stupid because you can't, this is common sense. There is no such thing as common sense. There's only systems.
Yeah.
There's no common sense, right?
Funny.
You got a whole entire family full of people. Y'all all around the same family, but everybody got different experiences. Fair as a girl gets treated differently. You as a man, you get treated differently. Your age, where you are on the hierarchy of age and brothers and sisters and cousins, everybody has a different experience, even in the same family. So while I'm looking at you like, damn, that's common sense. You don't figure that out. No, you didn't train me. So every single time you find yourself thinking somebody is stupid, you got to put a mirror up. Yeah. Stephanie, we started buying mirrors for all of our Systems of the Day workshops, and we set the mirror down in front of the CEO. You can have your whole team with you, but the mirror goes in front of the CEO. And every time you're like, well, why you didn't? Look in the mirror.
Did you?
Because you didn't train them. This is your company.
Just going to think. I want somebody that's just going to think and work out the problem. I've heard that. I want somebody that's going to think and just be a...
Guess what? The way I think is different than the way you think, and we all smart, right? And so you understand how
it got a spectrum.
Exactly. And so even if we're at the top of our spectrum, our life experience is totally different. That's why common sense, it doesn't matter. Even if you raised in the same household, you're still going to have different experiences.
100%.
I had Stephanie, who's on my team, who's my number 2, who runs everything. She sat on the call. She's been with me for 6 years now. She stayed on calls with me every day for 2 years, never said a word. 2 years. All I asked her to do is take notes, and every time we get off this call, tell me what you heard. Well, you said, what was I missing? Well, you weren't missing anything, boss. You're good. Tell me, say the truth, say the words, because I needed her to practice being a leader, being able to stand up if she sees something wrong. There's some calls I would intentionally miss things. Did you see anything that I missed? Well, no, yes, you did, because I saw your face on the Zoom, your face changed. You knew that I missed saying what I normally say. Well, yeah, normally you say da. And now over those 2 years worth of time, I'm 100% talking. She's 0, 80, 20, 70, 30, 50, 50. Now I'm getting off the calls like, hey, I can't make on the call today.
That's right.
Dang, I'm not able to met. I got to log off real fast. Until now, you think the way I think. You understand my discernment, because some days we got to get in your tail because you didn't get us our homework back. Other days we stop and we pray for people. right? But you have to have the discernment. But if you practice watching me, because my intent on paying you a full salary to watch me and learn and train and be a mentee so I can coach and train you at the same time and pay you, so that way I don't have to touch anything now.
Yeah.
So how important is it to you? And that's why I say some folks just got hobbies, and that's cool. How important is it for you to have a sustainable business that you don't have to touch every day? It was important to me to spend 2 years paying somebody's salary while they didn't have to say anything on a phone call. Now I ain't got on a call since the 80s, right?
I love that. So
I'm
good.
telling you, I was stuck on the 2 years. That's a long time.
Good.
Yeah.
Right?
but now, so she's been with me for 6 years. So for
Yeah.
4 years, I ain't had to get on no calls.
That's
Right.
So now, now is it a good investment?
For sure. You know, most people don't think about that, though, on the back end. You think about, you get
want
stopped
rapid
from the front.
response. You want it to happen instantly. And we
That's
know
not real life.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We have kids. Like, look at your children. Just imagine the first day they try to walk and they're like, nah, give up on that. You couldn't even walk the first day. When I was a child, I was able to walk. Oh, no, they had to practice and they had to watch you and they had to see you walk and they look at how you taking your steps and you show them how to put your feet. You do that and you have that patience and that time and that love and that caring when it comes to kids. But when it comes to the employees, you have zero patience, you have zero tolerance, you have no process to even properly train them on. Any job that you've had corporate-wise, any job, I don't care if you worked at McDonald's or you worked at Delta Airlines in the corporate office, they trained you. They put mentees and mentorship in front of you. They made sure somebody was able to follow you around. You're able to follow somebody around. That is corporate training. So if you're going to use corporate terms like CEO, COO, CMO, you have to have the corporate training that supports it.
That's good. Okay, let me go to my notes. You done covered everything that I had in here, girl. You was good. Okay.
My bad.
So no. That was good. That was a lot of good information. A lot of good information. I'm learning, taking my notes for myself, I guess, stuff that I was doing, like, okay, and stuff I know I need to do. But in this, the present state that we're in, people are talking about AI, technology, systems, replacing people. Like, where do you see the future of systems in your industry going?
So, one, everybody was panicked for me. Like, oh my God, everybody's just going to go online and they're going to be able to make their own SOPs.
Right, go to like whatever those.
Train you. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
For sure.
They're not going to do it. Two,
I mean, it may make your job easier.
Oh, totally makes our job easier. Yeah, because we handwriting SOPs for the last 18 years, right? But it makes our job easier, but it's still the amount of one-on-one time, the amount of care, the amount of conversation you have to have with people that are traumatized. Most of our people are traumatized. We were raised with the what happens in this house stays in this house, and everything is a secret, and don't let anybody steal your sauce, don't let anybody steal your recipe. So I spend more time rubbing backs and praying and crying with people than we do right in the SOP part. That part has always been easy for us. The emotional trauma that we as a people have with sharing our information is somebody running off with your business idea. One of your cousins that you was trying to run a business with, they took it and they done ran with it and now they're a millionaire and they looking at you like you stupid. So all of the employees that have done the same thing. So the emotional part of pulling your secrets from you, that's always going to be there. There's always going to be people that are going to buck against the system. There are those that believe in AI. There are those that think it's the devil, right? Those people may be our clients. It may not be the folks that can go out and do it on their own. But the reality is most people still don't have the time or the wherewithal or the knowledge on how to pull the information out of their own brain, how to stop what they're doing. Because what happens is it's so easy. If I ask you to explain, how do you brush your hair every day?
You're gonna be like, I brush my hair.
Yeah. I don't know. I brush it.
Right.
No, you don't.
But no, I do. I get my brush. That's the first thing I do.
Then
right?
you might want to open your eyes and get out the bed and put your right foot down and the left foot down and stand up and then walk 3 feet to the.
I'm assuming you know all that, right?
Why would you think I'm not in the bed?
I'm out the shower. I'm in the mirror.
Exactly. But now you explain to me like, yeah, just get the brush and brush my hair in the morning. So now if I did what you explained to me to do, I grab the brush and I'd be in the bed brushing my hair, laying back on the pillow. You'd be like, honey, that sounds stupid. But I would say that's what you told me to do.
Yeah.
So now who's stupid? Exactly. So my point is for don't be laughing. My point is for people to understand that it goes back to common sense, the things that we already assume. You should know this. Yeah. Why should I know this if you didn't train me?
Yeah.
As for me and my household, we gonna serve the Lord. Now, that's my household. But if you come in here and you don't serve the same Lord as I do, I got to explain to you who he is in my household.
Yeah.
That's the same way when it happens with our business. When you come into my business, I don't care what you did over there at KFC. If I'm Taco Bell, you're going to do this way. Yeah. Popeyes and KFC, chicken tastes totally different. They're different processes. It's different recipes. So if you were working at KFC and you were a manager and you did all the wonderful things, right, you're going to start as a cook over here when you come back to Popeyes because you got to learn how to make my chicken.
That's right.
Not what you did over there at KFC. So it's not an assumption because if I assume you already know how to fry chicken, I'm not going to train you on how to make Popeyes chicken. And you're going to come over here making KFC and they're going to be like, why the chicken taste different today? Oh, well, somebody at their last job
decided to put some sugar in here.
Wait, now why we got sugar? Exactly. So that's why it's so important. And that's why that mentality. So when I look at the future, the amount of time it's going to take people to break that mindset of assumption, that mindset of common sense is common, it's going to take decades just to break that. You can't do that. And even if even though AI could, it could tell you the story once you get it out of your head. It could put SOPs in place. But breaking down the mindset first, and I hate the term, but it is what it is.
I know.
You have to break that. The way your brain thinks of everything being common sense, you walk around all day long thinking people are stupid forever.
Yeah.
And people aren't stupid. You just haven't trained them on the way you want things done.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people who are stupid.
There are.
Insert pen.
And this is why I drink.
I'm gonna ask one more thing before we get into our scenario. Yeah. I just want your take on like us as a people, a culture. You've been a business owner for a while. The height of the pandemic, most people moved into entrepreneurship or whatever form or whatever definition that means to them, hobbies, etc. How do you see business, I guess, in its entirety? And I guess let me add a little context to it. For me, when I look at our people, for me, I'm like, that's probably your number one thing to some type of financial freedom, success, overall generational wealth. You're not going to do it from a job. Understanding that everybody's not meant to be business owners, but that's how I approach business and the seriousness that I take it with us, right? But I also feel like most of our people don't take business serious, right? You got to glorify a hobby. These conversations are boring to some people, right? You're not really diving into it, growing it, like in your space and peers and friends. What's your kind of take on that? What you feel about that?
So generational wealth is thrown around. That term is thrown around so much.
Yeah.
This is my camera. There is no generational wealth without generational documentation. Because what are you passing down?
Yeah.
You cannot pass anything down. If we look at the Bible is the oldest book of SOPs we have. True. It says if you do this, this will happen.
Yeah.
Look back, pillar of salt, right?
Yeah.
Very specific directions on everything we're supposed to do. So you cannot talk about the next generation if you're not passing anything down.
Yeah.
So imagine if you say, hey, son, this is the way that you brush your hair. You get up, you do like this, and then your hair is brushed, right? And then you leave. And he's like, dang, what did he say? Am I supposed to brush the back first or did he brush the sides first?
Right.
Because that order may make a difference. Right?
It definitely does.
And it makes a difference, doesn't it? I know it does. And so if you've told your son just do like your dad does, and you've never documented, you don't have a video recording, okay, and this is why we do it. So you want the waves to be down in the back. You want it to brush the sides first. Don't put the wave cap on until you wet your hair and put the mousse on there if you want the wave. There is a process. And if you don't document what that process is, what's going to happen is, have you ever played the game where you whisper something in somebody's ear and then you keep going, what is that called? Telephone?
Whisper down the lane.
Telephone, I think it is.
Yeah. And by the time it gets... Whisper down the lane?
Yeah.
Look at you.
I never heard of that one. I heard telephone. But it could be the same thing.
It is the same thing. But the conversation ends up totally different.
Right, at the end.
And so imagine generations of verbal direction, generations of verbal instruction. By the time you get to it, they're gonna be like, yeah, you're supposed to brush your hair against the grain, just brush it back like this. And you're like, you in heaven, like, I never taught you this, son. Right. Yeah. How did we get here? Right. Yeah. But because there's no documentation to back it up. That's why every real company has the documentation. Yeah. So what happened during the pandemic, they printed more money during those years of the pandemic than had ever been printed in the history since money has been printed.
100%.
So everybody got all this money. Everybody became entrepreneurs. Everybody got a candle company. Everybody got a exercise.
That's right.
Everybody started a company during the pandemic.
Scrub.
I call them pandemic. Everybody got a body scrub. Pandemicpreneurs. All the pandemicpreneurs.
Floss and body scrub.
Okay. 100 of them, right? And so all of these companies, and I'm all about entrepreneurship. I'm all about everybody making some money on the side. I'm all about everybody having a hobby that makes them feel good and also makes them some money. That's awesome. But this group of pandemicpreneurs came in, and some have done really well, but most have not, because they weren't created to scale. They were created just to make some money real quick. Oh, you sell candles? Bet I can sell candles too. hey, I got a candle business. It's Connie's Candles. And now I'm selling hundreds of candles. I done made $1 million selling candles. And by 2023, don't nobody care about candles because we can go to TJ Maxx now. We can go into the store. We can snip 100 candles.
And forgot about the taxes now.
That's a whole other conversation.
I'm going to need a drink for this. But all of those things, especially during the pandemic time, people were just throwing the word entrepreneurship, throwing the word, I'm a CEO. No, you have a hobby that's making you some money. Go make you some candles, sis. Store and keep all this money. Please don't buy no Fendi bag and stay out the Louis store on top of that, ma'am, because you're going to need to keep this money because this is not going to last always. All the money that y'all putting back out into this world going to go back to the same rich people that it came from, right? So when I look at those companies and I look at our community, we're not looking at generational wealth because generational wealth goes by generations, right? When I look at generational wealth, and shout out to Dr. Nicole Gartner-Scott, where I was thinking of generational wealth, I'm thinking about my daughter. She said, but what are you going to do with your dad?
Nicole, the financial planner?
Yeah.
That's my girl. We know everybody.
Yeah, we started the same year. That was my dog. Yeah.
Nice.
But what are you going to do about your dad? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, when your dad ages out of working and he has to stay somewhere and, needs to be taken care of, what are you going to do? I was like, oh, you're thinking about the generations after. You're not thinking about the generations before as well. I'm like, oh, snap, right? So we aren't taught any of that. We aren't raised to say, entrepreneurship is the way. We're not raised to have generational businesses. We're raised to just make some money. So the only way that we as a community are going to be able to build businesses that are sustainable are by building those off of documentation, off of systems. Then we can get to automation because you could use any CRM you want to. But you got to have the core part documented or you cannot pass it down.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's
That make a lot of sense.
Good.
So we'll wrap up with a quick scenario here, right? So we got an accounting firm or a business, but an accounting firm, right? We got a staff of 4, right?
I don't know where this came up with.
I just created this.
Okay. Yeah, he got it on his
Out of nowhere.
He got it on
All
the
in my
computer,
head,
y'all, so
yeah.
that means he's serious.
Right. I got to highlight it too.
It is highlighted. Yes, I'm ready.
So the goal of the company simply is to go from they're making 300,000 gross to making $1 million gross right by the end of the year.
Okay.
How will we go about building this out systematically so we can get to, because systems, they say systems help you make $1 million or $1 million plus sometimes. And where do I start? So how do we build it out systematically? Where should I start? How do I finish?
Okay. So I'm going to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I don't care about how much money you make. I care about how long your doors are going to be open.
That's good.
So I don't base our decisions or our operational systems off of money. Yeah. Because there's millionaires that they can make all the money, but their doors closed during the pandemic. Back to the candle person.
Come on now.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I won't measure it by money.
Yeah.
What I will measure it by is your team. So if you're at 4 people on your team right now and you're making $300,000, is that what it was? Every employee has a number on their head, whether they're bringing in income or they're not. But there's a number on their head.
Yeah.
I know the number that's on my head that I have to be able to bring into the company for it to be able to function.
Yeah.
If your job as business development manager is to go out and get more business, there's a number on your head of how much you're bringing into the company. If you're able to look and say, okay, right now we have 4 people bringing in 300,000. If you hired 4 more people, that'd be 600,000.
Right, 600,000.
Right? And then if you hire 4 more than that.
Yeah.
So now we go back to what I said originally, the org chart. And now you need to figure out what those roles are that are going to bring in more income. Because if that's your goal, my goal is to take the stress off of the CEO so you can go and go get more contracts, so you can go and go get more clients. I'm trying to free up the time of whoever needs to think to be able to create the projections and look at the finance. I need that person's time to be free. So I don't care if you make another $1 million in a year. I care about how many people are on your team that are working, that you're employing, that are taking care of the tasks that need to get done for the business to be open 25 years from now. Because I don't care about the CEO. Right. I care about the team. That team is going to keep it going. I care about the processes because when an investor comes in, that's what they want to see. I care about the SOPs because that's how I know that my taxes are going to be done the exact same way every year, the proper way. I care about the fact that your team is happy with the amount of money that they're making, because if they're not happy, they finna leave. They finna leave with all your trade secrets. They're gonna leave with all your IP. And now it takes money to be able to train somebody else. So I don't care if you make another $1 million. I care that you open in 25 years.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
Nice. Can I squeeze in one more question? It's lightweight. Real fast.
It's a lightweight. Is there anything you want to bring up?
Okay, so it's just fun. I just want to know if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive. Who would that be?
That's a good question.
Dead or alive? Let me think.
Like your perfect dinner.
My perfect dinner would probably have Brandon Dawson. He works for Grant Cardone. I don't need Grant at the dinner, but he was able to scale his company so quickly and sell it at one of the highest rates that's ever been sold by a company. Yeah, he's brilliant. I actually paid $36,000 to go and ask him one question at a conference. Flew into the conference just because I wanted to ask him, do you think my company is scalable?
Nice.
Gave him the whole entire scenario, and he was like, don't you want to come and do that here? And I was like, no, but I'm glad that I know now that you think that what I'm doing is important. I'm going to go do it in my own community myself. So he would be there.
Brandon, okay.
Yeah, and I know a little controversial, I would have Elon Musk there.
Okay.
And here's why. You have to be radically crazy to be able to create and build the things that he's done. Now, he's crazy. I know that 100%. But you have to be radically crazy and believe in yourself. Yeah, you have to really believe in yourself enough and have the arrogance and the cockiness, even take the money out.
That's a business.
You have to, you got to really genuinely believe in who you are in order to do that. And Napoleon Hill. So when I look at these books and the ones that really impact people all across the world, no matter what kind of industry they're in, when I think of how do I impact working with other folks? How does what I say to people impact them? How do I find people that are going to be attracted to me as a person and the businesses that I'm able to help them with? I need somebody that's there that has built businesses and they understand how to work and how to communicate with other business owners. So I'd probably have those three.
That's nice. Y'all eating soul food? It's like,
Listen,
no, what you serving?
No,
you,
that was
Eli,
good.
Brandon, that was good. That's a good table. That's a good table. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, this intimate
Definitely a
conversation with Connie S. Falls. Connie, anything coming up you got going on that you want them to check out? Check her out on her socials, Connie S. Falls.
Please don't forget the S.
The S is for
Systems.
Systems.
S is for systems. I'll give you all my theme music to play in there too. But so I think the only thing that I want people to be able to support in now, I am creating retreats, which I know I'll see you in June.
Yeah.
Because so many people are burnt out and they're exhausted and they need to be able to spend some time away. I do think weeks every single month where I take a week and it's solely about thinking, solely about the future projections, what's going right, what's going wrong in the company and other companies and our clients. But I don't think many of us are taking those types of breaks to be able to, one, celebrate the things that we've done really well because we're looking for the next thing. So the only thing that I'm really focused on this year is going to be retreats and making sure that I'm pulling brilliant people out of their everyday life and being able to help them reset because that's a problem that we have. Yeah. Celebrating ourselves, figuring out where we're doing well, and then creating systems to be able to take more time away from work. Because if you don't have 5 days to take off from your company, it means you don't have systems.
Love it.
100%.
All right, y'all.
We'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.